Tapestry of colors in the fall. Snow-covered mountaintops, wheat fields, canola crops. Alberta has
The
it
wild
all.
rose. If you have been in Alberta during the summer, you will have seen this flower almost everywhere. The Alberta wild rose is a dainty pink rose that grows in the wild. Because of its abundance, the rose has also been used for a lot of things. The Indigenous people knew that the rose hip, which is the fruit that comes from the wild rose, was very high in vitamin C. They shared this knowledge with the early settlers coming into Alberta, and everyone would eat the rose hips in the winter months to keep away scurvy. Scurvy is a disease that was caused by the lack of vitamin C. In fact, the healers of the indigenous tribes knew that the wild rose hip had many beneficial effects when it came to medicine. You might also be surprised to know that the wild rose was selected as the provincial flower by school students. After a list was put together, it was decided to allow the school students of Alberta to vote and decide on which flower should represent Alberta. The bull trout. Did you know that Alberta has an official fish? I didn't, but now we all know. So, our provincial fish is the bull trout. Interestingly enough, it's not really a trout, but part of the char fish family. The bull trout used to be found all over Alberta's lakes, rivers, and streams. Now, however, it is a protected species as their numbers have decreased due to overfishing and pollution. Today, the bull trout can only be found in Alberta's eastern slopes. Want to see one yourself? Head on over to the aquarium at Crosshair and Mills Bass Pro Shops. They have bull trout there, along with many of Alberta's other fish species. Great horned owl. The great horned owl is a majestic bird to see. Do you know why it's called a horned owl? It's because they have horns. No, I'm just kidding. They have little feather tufts on the top of their heads, which are a part of their ears. But these feather tufts look like horns on this beautiful bird. When I was your age, I read a book from a famous Canadian author, Farley Mowat. He wrote the book Owls in the Family, and I loved this book. It's about a boy from Saskatoon who rescues two great horned owls. One is named Wool and the other Weeps. These three have several adventures, including tough times and happy moments. If you like to read, I think this would be an excellent story for you, as I really enjoyed it. The bighorn sheep. Does anyone in your family have a Dodge Ram truck? Have you seen one of the truck's emblems? The animal on the emblem is a ram, which is the male bighorn sheep. These animals are specific to the mountains of North America only, and therefore found commonly in the Rocky Mountains on the west side of Alberta. They grow quite large, to be 2 meters long and about 120 kilograms. But the most amazing thing about these sheep is their horns. The males have large circular horns for which the sheep are named. As the young males grow into adults, they compete to be the leader of the herd. This competition is called rut, and two males will face off, galloping towards each other at full speed. They smash their horns together, and the crash that can be heard echoes through the mountain valleys and off the mountain walls for miles and miles. The ram that bows away loses, and the winning ram claims the herd. The lodgepole pine. The lodgepole pine is one of the most recognizable trees in Alberta. It's an evergreen tree that can be identified by its long, straight trunk, topped with a small crown of branches and needles, another of Alberta's symbols which is found easily in Alberta. In this case, the pine is often seen in the coniferous forests of the Rocky Mountains. The tree, due to its straight long trunk, is favored by the Indigenous people for use in teepees and tent construction, hence the name. Today, the pine is preferred for lumber due to its long straight trunk, which can be easily sawed and cleaned up into sizes required for construction. Petrified wood. Alberta is sometimes referred to as the land of the dinosaur. It is also known as the land of oil. Do you know why? It's because of the land that Alberta was millions of years ago. The land was part of an ancient ocean. and Alberta was part of the floor of the ocean. At that time, any living organisms that died would sink to the bottom of the ocean and get stuck in a layer of mud. After many years, more mud would pile on top of the organisms until it was completely covered. After thousands of years, the ocean dried up and the mud dried into sedimentary rock. Some of those dead organisms decomposed and became oil or coal. Other things had their structure replaced with liquid minerals that would seep in. These organisms essentially became rock over millions of years. And that is what petrified wood is. It's an ancient tree whose structure of living cells has been replaced with minerals over millions of years. Those minerals dried out and solidified, becoming rock in the shape and structure of the living tree. Rough fescue. So, not only does Alberta have an official fish, but it also has an official grass. Yep, that green stuff on your yard. Alberta's official grass is the rough fescue. It was a prevalent grass that grew in fertile black soil, and as such was in abundance in the Alberta plains. However, it was this land with its fertile soil that was desired for agriculture. As such, a lot of the rough fescue fields were cleared to use for grains and wheat. Now it is much harder to find rough fescue growing openly in Alberta. Tartan. A tartan is a cloth that has stripes of color in one direction or both directions in it. It's often referred to as plaid. For example, the tunic in our school uniform has a tartan pattern on it, one that is specially designed to represent FFCA. The same is true of the Alberta tartan. It is specially designed for Alberta, where each of its colors represents something important or significant to our province. The importance of a tartan came from Scotland, where the clans of very large families would use them to identify each other when they met in a large gathering through their country. Today, a tartan can be worn by anyone, and it shows a sense of belonging to something larger than yourself. The official song. Well, you've been listening to it this entire time. The official song of Alberta has been playing in the background of this video since the beginning. It is a beautiful song that combines many of the unique qualities of Alberta. You can also hear it in choir, concert band, jazz, marching bands, instrumental solo, and lots of vocal ensembles. It was created by Mary Kiefelbend in 1999 and became Alberta's regional anthem in 2001 to be used in the province's 2005 centennial or 100th birthday celebrations. It's a beautiful song. You should listen to it on YouTube sometime.